There we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Shuffle Bus. I'm half of the Shuffle Bus, Jesse, here tonight doing a solo stream. Neil is indisposed tonight, and he may jump on later. I don't know. We'll see. But if not, you got me. You got me for this bus ride. So, um, got basically a pretty short show planned tonight. Nothing real big to cover. Obviously, we just wrapped up Shuffle Bus League qualifier. Congratulations to Tater Tot Eat a Lot Joel
Good evening, everybody. Welcome
for getting first place.
Jesse here tonight.
And yeah, sorry for the audio feedback loop there. But yeah, so we are getting ready to announce the sealed qualifier. That's going to be coming very, very soon for a sign up. You'll be able to see that sign up hit the Shuffle Bus Discord as well as the Solforge Discord probably sometime in the next couple of days. I'm hoping to be done with it very soon. We got through all of the rules documents to make sure everything was copacetic for that and for the format, and that all the information was clear about what the entry point is and what you get for that entry point. And then yeah, we're gonna launch that thing and have it going June 17th, which is a Saturday. So be sure to mark your calendars for that. And it will start at 11 a.m. Central Time. So hopefully those folks that were looking for a later start than what we had for the first single day qualifier, they can get in and play on this one now. So I think that's still early enough for any folks that are not in the U.S. that want to participate in this to be able to join us. And yeah. So I I want to get to the giveaways pretty quickly here. I need to do a little bit of work because things were crazy today, and I didn't get this done pre-stream because why would I be prepared? That's silly. Nobody should be prepared for these things. And yeah, so give me just a couple of moments while I do that. If you're in chat, be sure to say hello. I love knowing that I have people here and spending time with me. Okay. So the way this tournament was structured, for every 5 entrants, we gave away a booster pack, booster kit, set 1 booster. And we had 26 entrants, so that means I'm going to give away 5 booster kits. So I need to grab player names here. Then do a little bit of cleanup here. Get the wheel of names set up. And then we'll jump right into it because we got 5 of these to give away. Obviously, Neil and I are removed from this conversation, so there's actually a few less people. There's 24 in, but we do have to add some additional entries. So for those folks that streamed with us, they get every opportunity to win and then get a little extra opportunity because they were gracious enough to come on our live stream on Thursday night and do that. We're moving forward with Shuffle Bus on Wednesday night, so if you haven't caught us on Wednesday night before, you know, yeah, no Neil tonight, and he is indisposed tonight. So this is our new switch over time to Wednesday, but he couldn't make it for this Wednesday. So it's just me tonight. I'm down to do whatever. We can play some games. We can talk about the meta. Talk about what in my collection I should pair with a green half that I think is really good from set 1 that I would like to find a good pair for in my collection. I've been meaning to do it for a while, and I just haven't had time. So I'd be down to do something like that as well. We're going to get this thing going here, though, with the Wheel of Names. The giant Wheel of Names, y'all got it on your screen now. Basically, this is everybody who entered Shuffle Bus League qualifier for the spring, and this is the extra entries for those folks that streamed with us. Yeah, we just talked about it on the last live stream. We didn't put an official notice out. We're moving to Wednesdays moving forward, mainly because it seems like Thursdays have turned into a real challenge with my family, with my kids, and everything else. So I think in the month of April, I ended up having to hire a babysitter to get 3 streams done out of the 4. So kind of in a better position where going Wednesday nights, I just have less interfering with the stream schedule, so I can do it without having to pay a babysitter for every live stream. But yeah, so let's go ahead and let's spin to win here. We've got 5 booster kits to give away. Let's see who is the first lucky recipient. Alex Virgilisov. I'm butchering that last name, Alex, but you are a lucky winner of a booster kit. And I will be getting in touch with you on Discord to get you one shipped out. Okay, now Alex gets to come out of the pool, and we do it again. Gorman Namrog picking himself up a free set 1 booster kit. Let's see who's next up on the wheel. Joel, winner. Guess winning does pay here. Joel getting himself a booster kit. Good news is Joel's in my hometown, so I can just meet him. I don't have to ship him this kit, although it might be faster for me to ship it to him than trying to find a time to meet with him. Never know. I need to remove Phil here. He dropped from the tourney. All right. Looks like KC Kid, Ryan Kreesh, getting himself a booster kit. Ryan and his brother had a really good showing at TCGCon Denver. Last kit. Here we go. Looks like it's going to Cody Fizzlesticks from the Charge Plated podcast. Cody is the winner of the final booster kit for this one. So, congratulations to Alex and Gorman and Joel and Ryan and Cody. You guys all were winners of one of the 5 booster kits we gave away on this tournament. So, for tonight, I don't know if we can review the TCGCon Denver results. Maybe if somebody has the link to it, that would be fantastic. But otherwise, we can talk a little bit about it. I know that Core backed up his TCGCon Indy with another win with the same deck that won TCGCon Indy. It sounded like there were 10 competitors at this event. And yeah, I mean, it sounded like obviously a big group of people. So I think 10 at a con like that is pretty good, considering you have con entry. You have the tournament itself as an entry point. There's a lot of barriers to running tournaments at big cons like that. So Pretty cool to see that. Looks like we do have a couple of events upcoming as well. Like we just saw UK Games Expo, but we've got the Ultimate Championship Series being held by Stoneblade at Origins Game Fair. This is a sealed event, silver event for Battle for White Fang Pass. Um, this should be a pretty good turnout, I would think. Origins generally gets a fair amount of people, and I would imagine this number will sneak up to that 32 that they're talking about pretty quickly. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. So there's the Ultimate Championship. Currently 9 registered for the Ultimate Championships at the UK Games Expo. This is a regular. Oh, excuse me. This is a regular constructed event here, and then we've got League of Champions scheduled here for online for July 15th. This is the qualifier event that is based on the store champions. So I'll be very curious to see who all ends up in that. I did not have a local for a store championship, so not going to be participating in League of Champions. Would love to see this get extended into some sort of online component for those of us that don't have game stores that are actively running or have active Solforge groups. Although we do have a pretty good Solforge group locally, just seems like it's difficult to get everybody together consistently. So maybe we can fix that here in Nebraska. But for now, obviously those folks that are store champions and going to League of Champions, wish you nothing but success. Okay. Yeah, so got our winners all figured out, which is great. We've talked a little bit about the next upcoming sealed qualifier, which will be on June 17th. Talked a little bit about upcoming tournaments that are coming to Solforge in the near future. Origins being the next big event in that mix, and that's being held on June 24th. So that's a week after our sealed event. But our sealed event will be played with set 1 because that's the product that we have. Okay, so let's talk Solforge for just a second here. I got to find the deck in question here. So bear with me for just a second while I do that. I think I fused it at one point. Oh, that's a different one. So ultimately, there's a few decks I have in my collection that I really want to pursue. But I'm not exactly sure I know what the best overall mix is for it. And yeah, it's something that I'm gonna have to work through a little bit. I'm having trouble finding that deck, so it might be faster if I just go over to the collection manager. Did you send it to me, Young? The Denver event? I did not get anything, if you did. Didn't see it in the chat either. But I'm glad to go over the Denver event as well. Pretty sure this is the one. Yeah. All right. So this is the green half. There we go, Ankh. It just came through. Okay. Here we go. There's Denver now. Let's talk Denver for a little bit, and then we can get back to this. Okay, so like I said, we had 10 players that showed up. Looks like 2 drops, so there was 12 originally. Unfortunately, they didn't get the other 2 players to play, but ultimately, the way it worked out was Greg Core and then Casey Kidd Ryan both first and second, Ascent Nick Bova third, and then Justice Blinded fourth. Looks like we had some non-online folks other than Don Dragon Rider and Charge Polluted Podcast in the bottom half of the event. The 3-1s looks like they took tie breaks came into play here, and so looks like they did a cut as well of top 4, and yeah, so that's where we are. The whole tournament, like Swiss wise, looks like it came out with a bunch of 3-1s. Both Core, Casey Kidd, Ascent, Eric, and Chris all had 3-1 records by the end of this Swiss. So, yeah. Hey, what's up, Billy? Good to see you too, man. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Definitely solo tonight, a little unusual stream. Oh, I wonder why you're still seeing that. That's weird. Let's fix that. I don't know why it's not. Hold on one second. That's not that. Too many Chrome windows open, I think, is part of the problem here. That's not it either. Gonna try to get it fixed here, folks. Bear with me for just a second. Don't know why it's not following my app. Hey, there we got it. Technical issues averted. Thank you, Carl, for the heads up on that. So yeah, so if you look at the results, you had a bunch of guys that all went 3-1, and ultimately got to a place where, now I don't know how this calculated. How he had 100% opponent match win rate. He won his first 2, lost to Eric. Eric would have been not 100% at that point. And then played Greg in the Swiss. And Greg also wouldn't have been 100%. He was 100% at this point, and then lost to him. So, yeah. So let's take a look at Justice Blinded's deck if we can. Fuse deck is unsubmitted. That's too bad. Why did that happen? Okay. So this is the deck that Justice Blinded brought to compete, and ultimately was able to beat Greg, who was the eventual tournament winner. And this is an Ironbeard deck with Promote. Promote being pretty decent with a 4 armor and have a battle in cycle 2, and then Formation is +6/+4. I use this in a sealed tournament to some pretty good results. I think Formation is pretty powerful. And then Intimidate at cycle 4 is obviously just bonkers when you're trying to turn off a large threat. I'm sure that Intimidate, if it came to that for Greg in that match, was a real problem for him. Both of these are set 2s. We've got a Ferocious Roar, a Heart Tree, Botanimate, and Vine Lash on the spell side from green, Guardian's Wall, and Shield Node on the blue side. Shield Node's tough for me because you don't get to play it for free. So I'd be very curious to see if this ever got played, because I don't know if it's impactful enough on its own to give up a whole action, to do that. Now he has some opportunity to play it for free with Talasan, and then does he have any other cards that give him free spells? Doesn't look like it. So that's kind of interesting. But the Voltaic Magus is kind of nice with this Ironbeard, just because even if you do Formation on it, it has enough attack then, potentially. It doesn't at level 2, but it does at level 1 to get the armor piece on it. So Camouflage Safeguard, kind of doing the same thing. Good underdraw, Prepared Prophet. Works pretty well. All right, what's he trying to abuse? What do you all think he's trying to abuse here? Because the only card I see that would have Activate is Talasan, and that's it. So the double Page Walker. Oh yeah, because you got the Binding Page Walker. And then you have the Stabilizing Page Walker. Stabilizing being very powerful, of course, especially against like Core's deck that's all about buffing creatures big for damage. Yeah, the Page Walker is interesting. So it's actually a Betrayer Page Walker on the green side. Okay. And how many mages are in this deck? He's got 8 mages. Wow. So this thing is going to trigger. Like, 8 mages is insane. So you got Glitch Scout that's a mage. And then, yeah, obviously the Researching Alamancer gives that a lot of staying power. Yep. Makes sense. And he just has mages all over the place in this deck. It's kind of crazy. Even Talasan's a mage. I guess I didn't pay much attention to Talasan being a mage. Cool. Okay. Well, I can see how this would be a tough match for Core. Obviously, just a series of things here that can really slow down his game plan while this deck is still doing its proactive plan. Interesting that he chose the Ironbeard, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Can we see that? We can't. Yeah, we can't see whether he chose the Ironbeard or the Nova. To me, the Nova looks really good. In general in this deck, just because of the Nova's might at 3. But maybe you're better off with the Ironbeard. I don't know. I don't know what he played, unfortunately, there. So it doesn't give me enough information about that. I would love to see the once the tournament is completed, that they lock in and show you what they played. You use Ironbeard? Okay. Good to know, Billy. Thank you. Um, so yeah, so he was able. I mean, Justice Blinded was able to go 3-1. His only loss was in round two, and that was to Nick Bova, Ascent, and he was playing. Let's see. Let's see if we can pull up Nick's here. Yep. Nick was playing a purple green deck with the Dark Heart and Stitcher. A little bit of Shambling here in the Shambling Geist. Uh, Obviously, Infernal Ritual being very good here. Spirit Leash. I like Spirit Leash as a combined. You got Krogius here as well. So I'm guessing we've got the Army Commander. Yeah, we do. Army Commander's in the wrong spot on this one, though. Got Growth Aura, Shapeshift, and Barkskin. I still think you'd play the Circe even if Army Commander's in the wrong spot. Yeah. Everybody's confirming that Justice Blinded used Ironbeard in that deck. I appreciate that. Yeah, this deck, the purple half of this deck looks very good. Devouring Stitcher obviously is very strong when you've got, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spells. And then this has a Flame Shaper Betrayer. That's true. Yep. Now this one can't go infinite though, right? Or am I missing something with this now? Because you can't get the Stitcher back. Maybe I'm missing something, but I didn't think this one would allow you to go infinite. And obviously this deck looks very good. It's just got a lot of stuff that you want to have. I would guess that the Druid's Chant and the Toxic Spores are not that critical here. Yeah. Thanks. I was thinking that's true cardboard, but I just want to make sure. So you've got 2 Wisp minions from the Summoning Council. Those go up to Oak Fathers, as we know, when they get to level 3. Summoning Council is just a great card. The Flame Shaper has, I'm sure, lots of play in general here, but obviously may not be your best card in this deck. Leyline Vermin is an excellent card to answer a lot of the stuff going on with Rumblespark, especially in a deck like this, where if you can make it work, you can Virix and kill the Rumblespark with the Virix and the Leyline itself in the same lane, and the Leyline gets to stick around. So pretty powerful into a meta if you expect Rumblespark. Yeah, but there's just a lot of value in this deck. I agree with the assessment from chat here. The Restless Wanderers, I've been really impressed with what Restless Wanderers in the times that I've played it. What are your guys' all thoughts on it? You think Restless Wanderers is an A+ card? Is it just a B card? I think, statistically speaking, this is 7, you get 4. It's a little under level, right? And I don't think it gets any better as you go up the curve yet, because this is 10 and 4 is 14, and then you get 13 and 16 is 29. So it's above curve at cycle 3. Obviously, if you can exploit the activate on it at level 3, it's probably pretty insane. But and the second ability here is nearly meaningless. It's 5% of the time I think you're going to get lucky and draw it on a deck cycle turn where you can stick the Wanderer and get an Oakfather, but you're mostly going to be playing it in a position of just getting to make a Wisp. Yeah, I agree, Hank. It's not a Drix for sure, but not many cards are Drix. Let's be real. Drix is a pretty crazy card. So yeah, but the Defender is nice for sure. You can definitely position that well if your opponent's got another Defender on the board somewhere. I would have loved to see, like, if this green deck had a Vine Lash, I think it would be like really, really crazy. Because Hibernating Featherfang here, pretty cool card. I think this does a lot of really cool things. The the Tangle Sprout really doesn't matter. Although the activate ability on, I always forget that it gets better at cycle 2 and cycle 3. But lots of defender here. And I can see how this deck would have problems, specifically against Greg's deck, who is banking on making a big stealth creature to crush you. And you can just throw that in front of a defender lane, and then what do? You've got to have an answer to that big creature that's removal based. And you're not going to really get that out of Varix, Wraths, or Spirit Leash in this deck, because they're not going to scale up to match the Darkforge terrain. Okay. But I would assume with the Krogus here that we were seeing an Army Commander play and the Circe play over anything else. Okay, so let's go look at Casey Kidd's deck here. Ryan, he ended up second overall. Well, this is he's got the Forge Seal. I love Utera Charger. Might be the best. Utera Charger may be the best Utera card, period. And that's saying a lot because Utera is pretty deep. But it's so good. It's just so good. Shambling Harvester, Raging Skeleton. Raging Skeleton. What's this guy get up to? 1817? Like, aggressive 1817 creature. That's nice. Really bad at level 1, obviously. Level 2 is pretty meh as well. But that level 3 version, pretty sweet. Soul Reap. How many beasts he running in this deck? He's got 4 beasts. So I would guess he's not going to trigger Soul Reap's second half very often, but it can happen, obviously. This is Siphon. Is an access card for free play. Got not really a lot of minion generation going on here. So that's going to make the second half of Odyssean a little worse. Oh, excuse me. The Forge Seal, obviously, it's without much minion generation. I really doubt this Nova Saw plays. So I'm guessing that Forge Seal is just used for Army Commander effect to upgrade cards. We've been seeing this as a strategy too. Like if you go back and you look at Tater Tot Eat-A-Lot Joel's deck from Shuffle Bus League Qualifier, he had a lot of just like free upgrade options as well, and use those to. I mean, that's really a way to set up a late game and be successful. So I kind of like the Forge Seal here, giving you a second activation of Army Commander to get Cycle 1 cards brought up to speed, and then it gives you, obviously the big Soul Siphon and Life Drain plays later if you want them. So you're kind of doubling up your Forgeborn here. And I think all of these abilities are fairly relevant. But again, I could see how this deck would have trouble against the Dark Forge Drain or else decks that are starting to pop up. Okay, so take one quick peek at the eventual winner here. We talked about this deck pretty much ad nauseum after TCGCon Indy, but we'll just read back through it here. Obviously, you got Breedfang Commanded Demon, Lyria, Scourge Hydra, Zithian Dreadmaw. I'm not sure if this is the same purple half that he played the first time. There's your stealth. Yeah, I think it is. Obviously playing the Dark Forge Drain into Growth Aura, and then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spells. So he's got a lot of opportunity to make this Dark Forge Drain huge, just in spell play alone. Got the Mantis and the Forge Seal, which we'd expect. These cards are generally not used until Cycle 3 to re-trigger Dark Forge Drain. He's got the Combat Polymorpher, which is extremely good with, in general, in opening up lanes and getting rid of pesky threats. It is level gated, obviously, by minion then the level 1, and then you get the opportunity at level 3. that does make him not a great answer to Rumble Spark, but a okay answer in the late game. Experience Steel Plate is just a good stat card, just stats on a stick. If you replace it, Magnivorius is just very good in terms of punishing an opponent's spell play. And then obviously we know the Batterhide and its ability to turn off printed abilities is extremely powerful. Combine that with a Spring Dryad and a Swamp Moss Lurker, and you get a lot of free play out of this deck for sure. And if your opponent does start killing things, Scourge Hydra is kind of a nice add for punishment. But yeah, I would say the purple half is really here for the spell suite. Circe's Call being just absolutely insane. Dissonant Siphon, again, not a ton of minion access here. You got Soul Reap again. Beast-wise, this deck has 6 beasts, so this would be more likely to trigger the second half of Soul Reap than the other deck we looked at. 4 damage to creatures, 4 health, and then Wrath's Will. Obviously, you got lots of opportunities to gain life here between the Forge Seal and the Soul Reap and the Vyrix Embrace and the Dissonant Siphon. So Wrath's Will is probably getting triggered quite a bit here. And then Primal Surge is extremely good with life gain as well. So, yeah. So, I obviously this deck has won 2 major events, 2 Ultimate Championships. What's interesting is, and I talked to Core about this, the 2 wins do not qualify the deck as a gold deck yet. And I want to know what you guys all think about that in chat. Do you think that if you win a silver event with a deck, should the deck become automatically gold? It's not like we've got 100 silver events to play this year, right? So if we're going to get like a world championship that is a gold tournament, I'm really struggling to see how a deck is going to make its way into a potential first round bye in those events when you've only got, let's call it 6 silver tournaments. Like, the odds are really against you to be able to get a gold deck. And maybe that's by design. Maybe Stoneblade goes, we don't want any decks gold in the first year of competitive play. But I do think that there needs to be a ratcheting up of how decks level up and out of each of their respective tiers. And I only think that it's important at the bronze level to make it more user-friendly. Because obviously this deck is silver. We know this deck is silver. It can't be played at a bronze deck, but a bronze event. But right now, it's won 2 silver events and still isn't a first round bye contender or first round bye capable at a gold event. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in chat. Let me know what you think. You think silver events should have a different renown process because they're rarer? Do you think that the system is fine as is? I'm curious. Okay, so that's pretty much a top 4 breakdown of TCGCon Denver. Obviously, big congrats to Greg on back-to-back TCGCon wins, and Ryan had another great and fantastic showing, proving that he is every bit the competitor. And of course, I haven't played with Ascent or seen Ascent in a lot of tournaments, so I don't know. But obviously, he's got a pretty firm grasp on the game. I'd love to see him start to enter more tournaments. Yeah, that's what I think too, Carl. There aren't going to be enough silver or gold decks for the World Championships this summer. Yeah, I think that's a real thing, right? Like, I think if you want a gold event, you've got to either give players, to give players the opportunity to participate in bronze events on a much higher regularity. Like, I would love to see Stoneblade doing weekly tournaments of their own, bronze tournaments of their own. I'm not sure why we're not seeing that yet. Obviously, we're doing our part in terms of hosting bronze events, but we're kind of living our own little ecosystem over here in Shuffle Bus Land. And we can't run a weekly event. We just don't have the bandwidth as, people that have no skin in the game, right? We're not profiting from doing this. We're doing it because we love the game, we love tournaments, and we want to help facilitate that. The Stoneblade has everything to gain by creating an environment where there are weekly tournaments being held. And they have the resources because they're generating the revenue that comes from the sale of products. So, how do we incentivize the sale of product? One of the ways you incentivize the sale of product is to make sure there's enough leveling of decks, essentially, that players have to keep buying product in order to compete at their bronze level events. And then the alternative to that is once you get to silver, there needs to be a way to take the good decks and get them elevated into gold status for worlds sooner. Now, there is a downside to that. I do think that, if this was the first gold deck, and it could be by the time we get to the end of the season, is our this deck could be worth a lot of money on the secondhand market, right? Like, it would be up to Core to decide whether or not the deck's value in the marketplace is more important to him than the buy at World Champions. I would love, I'd love to see that too, Carl. I mean, I just think so. I just think it would be great to see them. You know, I know it's work. I get it that it's work, but there certainly seems to be there's a very passionate group of SBE employees that are behind this game, and I can't imagine that it would be that difficult for them to stand up some weekly events. Just call it Solforge Friday nights or whatever you want to do, right? But to me, that's the opportunity for community members, such as myself and everybody in this chat and everybody on the Discord, to be able to pop in and out of weekly tournaments to test decks. To me, that's a really a nice thing, and I know that it's being handled by folks like the Fifth Cycle podcast, and I appreciate what those guys are doing over there. Unfortunately, they do it on a night that I can't participate. So, I mean, I'm going to say this now. If you can play on Tuesday nights, you should be playing in the Fifth Cycle because it's just good reps, number one. Number two, it's a great testing environment. And number three, it helps show, I think, Stoneblade that there's a sincere interest in weekly play nights. And then I think we might be able to get somewhere with it. But yeah, I do think that there needs to be a couple of things happening on the organized play side. Yeah. So you're talking about Stoneblade? Yeah. I mean, Stoneblade, they also only stream once or twice a week, 1 or 2 hours, been dedicated to other things last month and a half too. Yeah, I mean, you got to figure like Stoneblade as a company is they have a portfolio of products, right? So I don't fault them for that. They need to use their available resources in their stream to promote the next best and next great thing, right? That's their job. Yeah, and obviously, like, I think there's room for them to think holistically about each of their products and do other things. But I mean, look, we're going to do that. Like Shufflebus is going to continue to talk Solforge weekly. That's what we do, right? We come out, we BS for hour, 2 hours, whatever it may be, and then we hang up the hat for the week. But I mean, so there's still coverage in the sense that you've got Shufflebus, you've got Charge Play Podcast putting out a podcast, I think, basically weekly at this point. Maybe it's every other week. I don't remember what their schedule is. Yeah, it's hard. I think their team is not as big as a lot of people believe it to be, Billy. I mean, when you look at a company like Stoneblade, they probably have, I don't know, maybe they have 15 employees max. I think it'd be really hard to have a dedicated stream team and support them financially. When you think about what it costs on an annual basis to have people. So I'd be curious to see, like, I think that's an opportunity potentially, but it's also a challenge. And so as somebody that is a serial entrepreneur, I can respect why they can't necessarily do it, maybe. But that being said, I do think there's low hanging fruit to be had here, and I hope that they could capture it. I hope that they really do start to ratchet things up here as we go into set three. I think the game needs some energy injected into it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, cardboard. Like, I want all the things too, right? Like, no doubt about it. You and I can sit here as consumers and we can say, "I want to consume more," and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think we we have to always take a step back and realize that we're not in the same shoes, and so it's difficult for us to see the whole picture. But that being said, like, I would love more conversation from SBE about Solforge, and I don't think it even has to be games. I think there's an opportunity. Ankh is saying, I feel like Soulforge needs to be given more attention than their other products, though, because it's different from their other products in their portfolio. Competitive card games require, and he did not finish his sentence there, but I think I know where you're going with it. Different touch than one box board games. Yes, I agree. I agree. If you want to launch a competitive card game, I think you have to be 100% vested in the time requirement that it takes to be successful marketing one. And I think that this is an even more unique game. And obviously, it took an extreme amount of resources to get where we are. I mean, just being really honest, like when you look at how good the TTS mod is, I mean, Shadow did that, right? But Shadow did that um, probably for multiple reasons. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was also part of Stoneblade's team, so he was being paid by Stoneblade to help develop resources and tools like this. They've got a huge investment in it, and so it seems like a mistake to not leverage that investment to the highest possibilities that you need. So they really do need to reanalyze their strategy about how the game is going to launch. It feels like they were really on the ball leading up to the Kickstarter and through the Kickstarter and into retail launch in terms of what the game needed to be successful out of the gate, i.e., a scripted app and tabletop simulator, because they couldn't afford the app. I get that. The unique algorithm and how it generates cards, the design process and the adjective modifiers, all of these things required a significant investment of time and resources to figure out. And probably more so than if they were just making a board game. I know more so than if they were just making a board game. And so to me, it feels like they've got this investment, and investments can't grow um, without additional supports, right? So you got to either continue to feed more money into the investment, or you've got to feed more time into the investment, maybe both. That's just how it works. Um, you're saying that they need to be invested in the infrastructure, and then what is it that you've heard, Cardboard? Can you clarify that for me, just so I make sure I'm being transparent with the audience and not misstating what your thoughts are? Okay, so we have got there. All right. So I have this green half. I have tested this green half. That's not the right one. Oh, it pulled up there. How Soulforge was during the Kickstarter, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't either, obviously. Um, so I've got this green half that I think the creature suite is extremely strong. Obviously, we know Glowhive Siren to be very powerful. We've got Leyline Vermin, Tangle Sprout, obviously, probably on the weaker side. Steel Plate is kind of on the weaker side. um, I've got the Shardplate Delver here. This is a breakthrough creature. We do have access to the Growth Aura with this Delver. So, I mean, as we level up, I think there's a real opportunity for the Delver to be monstrous in that respect. We tear down Mauler. Um, is obviously very good if it replaces a creature. So, the first thing I did with this deck, the very first pairing I did with this deck, in fact, I purposely bought this deck with this in mind, was to play my Drix deck because that was like the first deck that I had really, really landed on. And it is the outfit of Worrying and Towing here. And so the issue I ran into was this deck relied solely upon combat to clear the board, and that's generally not going to work out in your favor as long as somebody has things like Discant Siphons and has things like Vyric's Embrace and not Discant Siphon his players, but you know what I mean, has Removal Suite. If somebody has Removal Suite in their deck, Druid's Chant and Toxic Spores are just not going to get it done for you, and neither is Digitized Pax Blessing or Warmonger's Bond. Just these spell suites are just not going to get it done, even though the main deck itself is pretty well stacked. Obviously, the Steel Rosetta could be a little better, but you've got a really good set in Apocamancer, Bright Steel Sentinel, Drix, Gladium Simulacrum, Rallying Tinker, Sifas Sentry, War Machine. Obviously, having Warmonger mod and some access to minion generation through the Drix and stuff like that really allows you to do some stuff. But I think my takeaway is that this green half is very good and it needs solid removal options. I'd like to hear what you guys all think about that because I think my thought process is to really look at what we have in removal and take advantage of that. More so than the replace synergies. So if we filter other way, Z-Day. My highest removal decks are, of course, purple, which we would expect. You have a set 2 deck here with Soul Devourer, Soul Gorger. This has 5 removal spells in it, but I think removal counts self-removal as well. Yeah, self-removal here. Does have the Soul Gorger Exalt. Isn't bad, but we don't have a ton of access points here. So I'm not super excited about this Devour Soul and trying to push spells because we just don't have a ton of spells. The main deck again, the main deck has 2 spells, so we're really going to be probably playing 5 spells on average. So then the next purple deck in that list is this guy. Again, Epidemic, not really a removal, kind of quasi removal. Blight School Bomb is a removal for sure. but it's an opponent choice removal, so it's kind of the worst of removals. Keeper of the Dam. I think Keeper of the Dam would be very good in a large minion deck. Something like with Drix probably isn't a bad place to be. So, not much on that one either, I would say. The next one here in the line. So you got Epidemic, you got Grave Pack, Spirit Leash. These are removals, but they can be problematic removal. They're not necessarily always guaranteed to be removal. I do have the Bone Scythe Reaver, which is a very good removal tool for minions. Forsaken Demon is just a good stout creature to play in an open lane. The Ghoulish Apparition is fine, really an upgrade tool. Spirit Reaver is okay at best. Scythian Dreadmaws is fine. But yeah, nothing really there either that I'm really going, boy, that looks like a really solid pairing. So now we do get into some true strict removal in the Dreadbolt and the Omnom. We do have a Stout Geist, 6/6 on cycle 1, very good. 4/14 bad. Well, not bad. It's a big body. 7/19 big body as well. I do have a Tormenting here for destroying a minion. Do have a Spirit Reaver again, Zithian Dreadmaw. Combat Patron giving your other beasts. How many beasts do we have in this deck? 4 beasts in that deck. And 4 beasts in this deck would give us 8 beasts. Patron might be a bomb here. Venerable Walker, again, kind of in line with other removals, but this is a good way to catch. Frankenbaum is solid in those catch situations, and then Zemus is just a good solid card. Could stick around and be a 12/6 forever. Gives you access to things like using the Dreadmaw to pretty great effect. You know. Where's the other beast? You got Demon is 1, Spirit Reaver is 1, Dreadmaw is 1, Patron, I guess, is the 4th beast, but he doesn't really count. So the Frightened Scheming Brutes might be a potential here. It's a maybe with this Field Smiths. Necrovive is very good. Epidemic is okay. We do have a Shambler here and an Abyssal Shambler at that. If you can time that right, it's very good. Obviously, otherwise it's just a Shambler. Doesn't have a great big body on it, which is kind of unfortunate. Forsaken Amoeba. Obviously, this thing just gets probably huge. It does, yep. Hematophagic Slime. Necrotic Patron. So again, back on the B side, but this one gives a zombie when it dies. Although we only have one other beast in this deck. That's the Scourge Hydra here. Steadfast Spectre, and then Venerable Apparition. So lots of self-damage here, self-clear. Not necessarily great, I think, with that green half. So I don't think that one's going to be in the mix. This will be the first red deck we could run. We've got an Ice Storm. We've got Firestorm, Flame Sculptor Seal. How many mages here? 1 mage in the whole deck. And 1 mage in this deck. So we're not going to get much out of Flame Sculptor Seal in this pairing. Thundersword is pretty good with Firestorm. This is cool, but I don't think it's going to work very well when we only have 5 spells total. Like, this would be a deck that I'd consider Maybe trying to force spell with it. Got the Arrogant Shard back to go with it. So access to the Shard back is pretty solid there, with although the Firestorm does kill it. Iceland Magus can also trigger it if you wanted to. And Charger Mammoth is very good, just in general. Korok is not great here, but he'd probably be still playing the Oros. Not sold on that one 100%, but it is interesting. All right, so we do have Disintegrate here. I think this is very good. Stone Skin's also a good removal. Turnabout, also very good removal. Like, this is a really good removal suite. The Arrogant Lasher is powerful. Also probably a removal in most cases. 6, 9, and 14. It's definitely going to catch all of the things, kill all of the things that are generally problematic to you after level 1, I think, right? Chaining Worm is very good for getting additional spell slinging. It's just very possible with a small spell suite like we've got that you won't have a spell for the worm. Obviously, Fire Fist Uranti is very, very good. Inflaming Sentinel. So this Uranti, at the end of the game, you could Dark Forge drain this with your Nova here, or your Oros, or Growth Aura, sorry, and then really hammer home. Not Growth Aura. Yeah, I'm thinking I do. This is no Dark Forge drain on this. I don't know why I'm losing my mind here. But you could shapeshift in the late game too on Fire Fist. This deck really cares a lot about spells, and yeah, okay. Not sold on that one either. Okay, so we got Conflagrate. Again, not a ton of mages. We got 3 mages in this side, so we'd have 4 mages total in the deck. Fit of Rage. And then you got Ice Storm. Fleet Mystic. Probably a pretty good spell, or a pretty good card in general. The Inflaming Ward Stoker is interesting. Spell Knight is probably fine. Asher's fine. I don't think we have a lot of other dinosaurs. There's 2 dinosaurs in this deck. There are 2 dinosaurs in that deck, so 4 dinosaurs, 3 that are playable against this. Probably means this is not gonna do much. And then you got the Ice Crusher, 6/6 Ice Crusher. Chant of Umbrak. Pretty good with, in the rare case we have a dinosaur in play. Conflagrate again. Just looking at, so I've got a green deck that I think the creature suite is very powerful in this Oros here. So Steel Plate, Glowhive Siren, Leyline Vermin, Mystical Tangle Sprout, Sharpplate Delver, Soothing Ravager, Talisander, Pterodon Mauler. Spell suite is pretty non-effect. Looking at some potential pairings, other half pairings for it. So far, I have played it with this, but the spell suite not having enough removal has been a detriment to the success of the deck. So the one of the decks that I'm considering pairing with it is this Nyx here. And then being able to do Dark Summoning Raising Dead, because I don't think the Oros is very good in general. And so then you've got access to like 7 beasts that are affected by Patron here. And you've got the Omnom, you've got the Dreadbolt, and you've got the Tormenting Demon to sort of manage threats on the opponent's board. Not being great, but being reasonable. The other one that I looked at was this, but we only have 2 mages, so the Flame Sculptor Seal feels kind of bad. It just looks like it's going to be a deal 3 damage, type scenario. I don't think it's going to get much better than that. Iceland Magus can trigger the shard back. Ice Crusher can deal some damage on your side of the board or to your opponents, which can trigger Thunder Sword. So there's some synergies there. And Nargoth Commander I think is pretty good overall. I was looking at the Tiresome Myth Swords. Don't think that this deck is going to really work with it either. And I can't imagine that we're going to get much deeper on removal synergy. Still down in the 4s here. Death Current. We got a Dreadbolt and a Ghastly. There is 1 scientist in that deck. No scientist in that deck. So the Ghastly is basically nothing. Again, Combat Walker. And I mean, Spine Hydra is pretty good if your opponent removes things. So, yeah. But I don't think that's going to go together. Yeah, I agree that it doesn't. I agree with that statement as well, Alec, where I do care more about quality of removal in general. Varna's pack is okay. In Patron was good. In the other deck, this is much less beast count, so less good here. You have the Dark Heart, but the spell count's low. I mean, I don't think Gloom Reaper Hag is very good as anything other than an underdrop. Hibernating Stitcher is fine. Tormenting here. Nyx is just average. So, I mean, ideally, what we'd be looking for would be something with either on the red or purple side. Red on the purple side, we'd be looking for obviously Dreadbolt decks. So I got 11 Dreadbolt decks. I'd love to see a Necrovive and a Dreadbolt together, but I don't think I have that. Yeah. I agree with that statement as well, Ankh. I have a Betrayer Synthetis. I didn't even notice it. It's a new Terra deck. It's a Vine Lash. Noxious War Tusk. Hardplate Behemoth. I'd be willing to try this deck with my Drix deck, because I think Vine Lash is probably pretty good. Well, for sure, Betrayer, Sentettas, and Necram would be extra spicy. So, like, I could see Outfit of Warrior Towing and this Squishing Wrestlers working together, because I just make a bunch of gizmos. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I don't know if the rest of the deck is solid. This Nova, the Nova's Might is probably pretty good at cycle 3. The only removal you really got though is the Vine Lash. I'm not a big fan of that, because the Steel Rosetta here would give us access to the Nova's Judgment. The Enhance is obviously very good. Repurpose, we saw how good that was in Joel's deck. So maybe the Steel Rosetta is still the best in this pairing. The Sentetta is being very good here. Spirits wise, I don't think there's any spirits other than the Wisp minions that come off. Right, that's what it is. And the Armored Slayer is probably pretty good in a standard combat deck, especially if you can play it into Drix. But no breakthrough. Soothing Reveler feels kind of bad in a 6-spell deck. Shard Plate might be okay. This doesn't feel like it's going to be very impactful, though. I mean, the only card that's really interesting in that is probably the Sentettas into a Drix deck. So I'm not really trying to build the Drix deck right now. I'm still trying to find the right pair for this guy. Yeah, for sure. It happens, though. I appreciate you taking a look at it. Corrupt Batterhide's pretty interesting here. 6/7, that is not bad. How many scientists in this deck? One scientist. Game hates me. Halazith giving stealth is pretty good. How many spirits? 2 spirits. Unfortunately, this deck doesn't have a lot of wisp play. It did, I would say, all day on this Halazith. Slime's pretty big, though. Ossuary Mech is Nice threat, but not super great. Um, just don't have a ton of stuff with Dreadbolt. So let's move on to Disintegrate. Is spelling it right? Yep. The 12 decks with Disintegrate. Got Ice Storm, Lightning Charge, Elementalist Ritual, Disintegrate, and Flamesculptor Seal. Only one Mage here, and only one Elemental. Ugh. Anybody been able to make this card work? Combat Frost Hulk. Okay. I mean, I like the spell suite here, but the creature suite's pretty rough. But I guess we have a better creature suite on the other side, so. Don't think we have any elementals over here, right? No. It's interesting, right? Like, it's an interesting card. I just don't know if it does anything. Like, obviously, the level 3 version has to be very powerful. But the level 1 and level 2 feel really rough. Okay. Okay. Um, Burnout's pretty good. Disintegrate's obviously what we're considering here. The Sunder is not loading. Has Ice Armor, Stimbolt, and Summon the Swarm. I do think Scorchman Dragon is pretty good. Undeady, I don't know about that card. And obviously, this is just probably not going to ever hit because we have very few ways to access free spells in this deck, which I think is a problem. Stone Skin is not free at any level. Disintegrate. It's the issue I have is only having creature removal means that things like Apocomancers, things like Darkheart Sorcerers, things like Shamblers, they all get multiple values if we're just going into strict combat removal, and those are all really common creatures in the meta, and so I want abilities that give me the option of taking things out of commission that um, that are an issue. So again, I think you got to have some removal index. I just don't think that you can play combat only in Solforge and be successful. And to your point, I mean, if I just look at Dreadbolt decks again, and I just look for, obviously these are going to be purples. So we're going to filter out everything else but the purples. And I just look for Circes that could do something about it. There's I don't have a Circe with Death Touch and a Dreadbolt. Like, you just don't. I have it at. I have no Sonic Burst, but I do have a blue deck. I think I have registered it. It's double suppressing. It's this guy here. Has double armored, double steadfast, double suppressing, and a charge plated war charger. So I do have this as a potential. It does have the Scythian augmentation. Don't have a bunch of mages here, just 2 mages. On the other side, I think there's just the Reveler that's a mage. So yeah, it's just 3 mages. So the Scythian augmentation is going to be a little bit of a miss card here. The energy prison is fine, and heavy artillery is what it is. The issue you have with all of this spell suite stuff is I have no like free spell plays off of it, other than the Talisman. The Rosetta Suite. It is Inspire, Repurpose, and Tinker. Obviously, Repurpose can be very good with the suppressing. It's also fairly good with the Sculptor. So it has a Sculptor, yeah. Steadfast Sculptor. You've been trying Frost Hulk with Dinos cardboard. Why Dinos in particular? Can you explain that? Redact Crux combo? I don't know if I know. What level do you want Redact at? Or Redact's a card, right? Maybe I'm crazy. I have 2 decks with Redact in it. Shattered Psyche also gives us there. Gotcha. Looks like got a tinker. Hmm. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if it goes well with this deck or not, but that's an interesting um, possibility. I think this is. Precog's in the right spot here. Mind over matter's pretty good here. Cheddar Psyche is fine at 4. How many deploys do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every purple side of this has a deploy for the duplication dome. Yep. Yep. And this has deploy effect, deploy effect, deploy effect, deploy effect, double deploy effect, and deploy effect. So we've got a ton of deploy effects on the green side as well here. And this crux is probably relevant. Yeah, it does. So the Utera half has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deploy effects. So the duplication dome would definitely have value, just in general. Now, many of those deploy effects are replacement effects. Yeah, but the crux is relevant here. I kind of think this might be at least the starting point. Still don't have removal though, other than the redact. Redact is my only removal for some of those pesky creatures we've been talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And the Apocamancer can draw a lot of hate if we really want it to, right? Gizmo makes minions. I don't think so in this deck. No armor on the green half, unfortunately. There's another redact deck I have that has a Forge Plate Yeti in it. There we go. This Iron Bird is not as great. Do have tech upgrade. with a scientist. Yeah, I don't think this is the right one, but I think the Bulwark Bash at best is going to be just printed armor here. I don't think it's going to be Bright Steel Sentinel. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I'd try this. I think I'd try the Vexor and Sentry with the covering lurkers, field smiths, using the Crux um, as the correct Forgeborn. Mind over matter, I do. Oh, right, right. The Crux ability. Yeah, that's true. So I could have one big bulwark bash for sure if I needed it. Off meta. Nobody plays green blue because we just don't. All right, so I think we got there. Um, I think there's play across the board on both halves from the creature side here. Statistically, we don't really have a ton of creature synergies here, but I mean, Redact B is pretty solid, and I think Duplication Dome is pretty good, and uh, yeah, yeah. I think there's some play here. I think there's some play here. Lots of deploy effects on the Duplication Dome side. Combine that with lots of deploy effects from the Utera side. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll give this a try in a few different casual runs and see how it goes over the coming week or so. And I can report back on it later. Um, but I do think that was my goal was to try to find something for that Lurkers Field Smiths because I do think that creature suite is extremely strong. I just think that those are all things you want to be doing. Um, and you just have a ton of access to those things with that deck in general. Um, so yeah, we'll see how it works out. See how it works out. Could be completely bad and not the right call. Could find that it can't push damage through. There's a number of things that could come up out of that, but yeah, yeah. Precog seems pretty good way to get things out for free, and Duplication Dome helps with that as well. So, yeah. Level 2 Duplication Dome. Very good. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up stream for tonight. We're only got like 24 minutes left or so, but you got 2 hours of me tonight. Neil will be back with me next Wednesday. On the 17th, again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, we will be having the single day sealed qualifiers. Congrats again to all of the booster kit winners tonight. that I will be messaging each of you on Discord over the next 24 hours to get your addresses and get everything. I'll get everything boxed up, and we'll send it off to you soon. So you should have it in a little bit of time. If you're an overseas player on that, I'll work up a bid for you and let you know what that's going to cost. Otherwise, we will be back next Wednesday. I don't know if Neil and I will play some games live, or we'll just chat about tournaments, or what we'll cover exactly. We'll work through that. Some exciting news is coming though too, and I just want to let you all know here first, and we'll be spending some more time discussing it as we move forward. But I believe if everything goes as planned, sometime in the month of June, the Shuffle Bus and the Charge Plated podcast will be in a live show right here on this channel on a Wednesday night. We're going to do a live Shuffle Bus Charge Plated collab, and we're going to take questions from you all, and yeah, we're going to have a good time. So be on the lookout for that news. It'll be coming soon. And yeah, excited to share more details on that once I've got everything locked down with the Charge Plated guys. So we're getting close. So I appreciate everybody that has spent time with me tonight chatting. That makes the stream go infinitely better. So I appreciate you all being here with me tonight. Be sure to continue to check us out at the regular time on Wednesday nights as we move forward. And I will see you all next week. I hope you have a fantastic holiday weekend if you're in the U.S. And yeah, it's getting to be summertime, so there'll be lots of people running around doing vacations and things like that. Neil and I are working out details to go to Gen Con, so I sure hope if you're going to Gen Con, we'll be there and you'll be able to chat with us in person. We would love to meet all of you face to face if we haven't already at one of the events. So, okay. Thanks everybody. Appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend.